There's been a recent victory for privacy advocates and for whistleblowers. The Associated Press is reporting that 7 years after former National Security Agency contractor Edward Snowden blew the whistle on mass surveillance, an appeals court has found that the program that he had uncovered is unlawful and that the people who were defending it in U.S. intelligence agencies were found to have lied to the American people. So again, this is great news. On Wednesday, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit said the warrantless telephone dragnet that secretly collected millions of Americans' telephone records violated the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act and also may be unconstitutional. So, top intelligence officials had publicly insisted that the NSA never knowingly collected information on Americans. Remember, of course, that was James Clapper during the Obama administration, literally lying to the public about it. Oh no, we didn't. We never knowingly collect people's metadata and hoover it up. No, 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 not at all. No, turns out they absolutely did. After the program's exposure, by the way, they fell back and they said, yes, we were hoovering up your data, but we were using it to fight domestic extremism. Oh, really? Well, can they point to really any case that they used their unprecedented spying powers in order to stop a crime? To stop a domestic incident? No, they can't. I mean, they never stopped Dylan Roof, right? He's a terrorist. They never stopped the Aurora shooter, terrorist. They never stopped a lot of these terror attacks. For example, sovereign citizens, right wingers, right? Never seem to stop them ever. And so, I mean, what argument did they have? Well, it's the same argument that, by the way, people in New York City, Muslims in New York City, by the way, had this used against them. They said, "Oh yeah, we need to monitor these Muslims to make sure that they didn't do crimes, to make sure that they're not extremists." Same argument, right? So now, I asked if they have one example. They actually do, kind of. They cited a case of 4 San Diego residents who were accused of providing aid to religious fanatics in Somalia. So now U.S. officials insisted for Basali Saeed Molan, Ahmed Nasir Talil, Muhammad, and Issa Dore were convicted in 2013 thanks to NSA's record spying. But the Ninth Circuit ruled on Wednesday that the claims were, quote, inconsistent with the contents of the classified record. So that metadata that was sucked up by the NSA, this unprecedented spying program, didn't actually go and help for the conviction of these 4 individuals. Now, the court case wasn't dropped, of course. They had other evidence that was that the court found had not tainted that, right? The ruling would not affect the convictions of Marlin and his fellow defendants. The court ruled that illegal surveillance did not taint the evidence introduced at their trial, but also said that the evidence really didn't, the illegal surveillance did not help their case either. And so at the same time, right, big deal, especially for privacy advocates. In fact, the ACLU said in a statement, quote, today's ruling is a victory for our privacy rights. It makes plain that the NSA's bulk collection of Americans' phone records violated the Constitution. And look, Snowden himself was incredibly pleased to hear this. And I'll give you the quote on that later. But here's the thing. Snowden, had he not fled to Russia, would have probably died here in American prison over this, over exposing this. Okay? Or at least have been treated like Chelsea Manning when she was in prison. Tortured, probably repeatedly. And look, Chelsea Manning was tortured repeatedly and had several suicide attempts as a result of that. And so we look at how they treated Chelsea Manning, who, gave up information that was, I think, in the public good. The collateral murder video that showed us doing war crimes in Iraq. And then, obviously, Edward Snowden also gave information that was in the public good, the fact that the American people were being spied on, right? And in giving up that information, he also gave up his entire life. I mean, he had a nice life. He had a great job, good salary, a great relationship, citizenship of this country. He had to flee to another country, and no other country would take him other than Russia. And so he did all that to let everybody know that the government was spying on us in what is now an unconstitutional way, or what has been found to it. So he reacted to this, and he said, "I never imagined that I would live to see our courts condemn the NSA's activities as unlawful, and in the same ruling, credit me for exposing them." Yeah. And so, look, I think it's beyond time. We should be able to bring Edward Snowden home. We should pardon the guy. It's time for a pardon. Okay. Look, intelligence lied to our faces. They took our private data, and yet it's the man who exposed it that is called a traitor to this country. I mean, wait. So, in part of their argument is, look, you shouldn't expose that data to the enemy, right? Or that the existence of this program to the enemy. Well, wait a minute. In this case, it's the American people who had a right to know the government was spying on them, and so they could stop the government from spying on them. So in that case, are we the enemy? Is the American people considered the enemy by the government? I mean, who did they believe was the enemy, right? No, there was no reason to have this program, and there's no reason to go after the whistleblower that released this program. Again, he wouldn't have had to flee to Russia had the Obama administration not cracked down on whistleblowers and thrown them in prison. And yes, I am glad that Obama pardoned Chelsea Manning, but he couldn't extend that same courtesy to Edward Snowden. Yeah, it's because it's an embarrassment to the administration. Because again, that was happening under Obama, and so look, he's been gone long enough. All right, pardon Edward Snowden. Just let him come back home. Pardon him and dismantle those spying agencies.